Cicerelli. Hello, this is Fred Cranwell, your host for Historic Reflections of St. Peter's College. This edition will focus on Bernie Cicerelli. I want to welcome our special guest seated in front of me. Thank you for joining us today. First, let me ask you, Bernie, and I have a list of questions. And where and when, and you were born, where were you born and when?
I was born in West New York, December 16th, 1932, a few years ago.
Tell me about your parents and your siblings. I know about them, but you can tell me about them.
Well, my father and mother, I was the oldest. I had a brother, a sister Nancy, and a brother Ralph. My parents took me all over. As a kid, I went baseball games. One year I saw every American League team play at least twice, every National League team at least once. Every Friday night I'd go to fights at the Garden. I saw Willie Pep and Sandy Sadler. I saw Zale, Lesnovich, Zale and Graziano, Gus Lesnovich. Show business people I saw.
You got to talk about your father, Bernie.
Yeah.
My
father, I guess you'd call him a Damon Runyon type character. He loved people. He enjoyed himself. I've met, you name it. I've met Barbara Streisand, Johnny Desmond, Pat Boone, Four Aces. Actually, the one time, the Four Aces were the #1 group in the country at the time. And I was in high school, and I mentioned to my father I was going to go up to Rustic Cabin on 9W to see them. But Loretta was my girlfriend at the time, and another couple. So my father said, "Oh, you got to go see them." I said, "Tell them who you are." I said, "What do you mean, tell them who I am?" And I said, "Just tell them you're my son." So I said, "No, I don't want to." He said, "God damn," he said, just do what I tell you. So I go up there, and now I'm saying to myself, I don't want to go back. But if I don't, knowing my father, if you knew him, I would never hear the end of it. So I told him, I said, I have to go to the men's room, and I walked in the back. I figured they're not even going to let me in there. So I knock on the door, and one of the Four Aces, Sod Vaccaro, comes out, and I says, "I'm Ralph Cicerelli's son." Oh, Bernie, he says, "Your father speaks about you all the time." He says, "Al, come here, Bernie's here. Bernie Cicerelli's here." So he comes out. "Oh, how you doing?" He says, "Where you sitting?" I said, "I'm sitting over there." He comes out. He says, "Well, the guys we're getting ready to go on now." He said, "But let me go say hello to the people at the table for you." So he comes out. He says hello for a minute or two. So we'll be out after the show. All right, great. So now I feel like I'm a big deal now. You know. So after the show, they all come out. They spend about 15 minutes with us. I go to pay for the check. They paid for the check for 4 of us. Next day at school, I was a big deal in Memorial High School. But he knew a lot of people,
Your dad was something else.
Yeah.
Actually, I came to St. Peter's because of my father.
Yeah.
I think your father came to St. Peter's because of you.
Yeah.
You think?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
'Cause
Well,
I mean, once you got here, he got here, and he lived here.
Oh, yeah, he loved coming here, and they treated him terrific. You couldn't treat him nice, and that's a long time after I was gone. You know, till the day he passed away. He loved the place.
He was part of the family.
Oh, yeah, and one of the reasons I came here was because of my father, though, in a sense, because he liked to watch me play, and my mother liked watching. And I was going to go away to school, and then I also was going with my wife at the time. So I had my wife, my girlfriend at the time, my father and mother, and I figured I'd come here, and it's close.
Well, you were at Bayonne Junior.
Yeah, I went there because I graduated high school in January, and I didn't even know about the NCAA at that time. Bernie Akeen was the coach down there, and I knew they were going to have a good team. So we got in the junior college tournament up upstate New York, and we did very well. And the next year I came to St. Peter's in September, and I was the 1 year you were able to play as a freshman. And I was starting in the scrimmages, and Don Kennedy's talking to Bernie. He says, "I'm thinking of starting Bernie." He says, "Oh, yeah, he's good. He played for me at Bayonne Junior." That was the first Don heard about it. So he says, "Geez, I didn't know that." He says, "Either you have to sit out your first year or your last year." So I decided it ought to be better I sat out my first year.
What was the reason you went to Bayonne Junior?
I graduated high school in January, and I knew some people there that played. And I just went down. I was going to play basketball for 6 months.
Play for Bernie.
Yeah.
Bernie. And then when you started looking at four-year schools, what made you choose St. Peter's?
St. Peter's, well, I knew this, the Jesuits, the education, people spoke very highly of it. Plus, the other thing is it was close to home for me. I mean, a lot of people wanted to go away, but I enjoyed being home. I really did. And there's no place closer than St. Peter's, really.
It was different than now. I mean, you commuted?
Oh, yeah. I used to get the bus from West New York, get down to Journal Square, walk from Journal Square here. It took over an hour.
What time you leave the house in the morning?
7:30.
And then you had basketball
Basketball
practice. What time
practice.
did you get home?
8 o'clock at night.
So if they had dorms there, you would have liked it.
Oh, I would have loved it. Would have loved it.
So the school's come a long way.
Oh, yeah. The dorms are great, great, great help.
It says here, did anyone in your immediate family or other relatives attend St. Peter's at any point? Now, there's a lot of Cicerellis went to St. Peter's. Why
Yeah.
don't you tell us about those people?
Well, my brother Ralph was the first to come here. And
No, you were the first.
well, first after me, naturally. After me, he was the first. And he's 14 years younger than me, Ralph. And he came here, and he enjoyed it, as I did. His wife was in the first women's class at St. Peter's, Phyllis, and he met his wife here. Then when it was time for my children to go to school, they knew they weren't going away to school because I'm very close to my children, and I wanted to make sure they'd stay around because too many of my friends went away and they never come back, you know. So Lynn was the first of my children to go, and she came down here, but she couldn't take a bus. I lived in Hasbrook Heights at the time, but I mean, you don't take buses. I mean, they didn't anyway. So she came down by car, and they really did a job on it. She was very quiet when she was in high school, and she really come out of her shell down here. She loved it down here. And then the next one was Bernie was going to go, and he wanted to go to Rutgers. I tried to talk him into coming here. He liked the campus, and it was a nice campus, but I told him it's kind of big. At St. Peter's, they give you a lot of personal attention. I mean, if you need help, they'll spend as many hours you need to help you with your studies if you need them. He went his first year, went to Rutgers, and after about 6 or 7 months, he said, you know, I was thinking, maybe you're right, I should go to St. Peter's. He said, maybe in September I'd like to switch over. I said, oh, great, I told you, you know, it's a great place. And he came and he loved it, and he's very, very active to this day at the college.
Does he have any special interest in the college today?
Yes, quite a bit. He's the president of the alumni board, and he's helped on some of the search committees for different offices of the college.
Now, we have a Cicerelli who teaches here, don't we?
Yes, and his wife, he met his wife here also, and she teaches fine arts at the college. So we got quite a few people.
It says it, when did you enroll at the college? That was 1951.
1951.
51.
September of 51, right? September 1951.
And you were part of a pretty good basketball team.
Yes, we had some very good teams. We played a lot of teams in the top 10. One year we played 4 of them. It was Seton Hall, NYU, Fordham.
Yeah, that was like in a 4-week period.
Yeah,
and you all lost all 3.
Yeah.
By a total of 1, 2, 3,
about 6 points. Yeah.
And you were honored. You were selected to an All-American team.
Yes, I was.
You were first one here. Was Tommy Smith an All-America before you, or were you the first legitimate All-America?
I think I was the first one.
Tell us about that ending of the Seton Hall game when they were #1 team in the country.
When I lost the game?
Yeah, when you choked.
Now, we were playing out at Seton Hall, and they were the #1 team in the country. And it wound up getting to the end of the game. We were down by a point, actually. And I got the ball, and I drove to the basket against Walter Dukes, who was a little bit bigger than me, but a little over a foot bigger than me.
7 feet tall.
Yeah, 7 foot tall he was, yeah. I thought I can get over him on a drive. I did get up high, and we sort of clashed together. And he crossed over in front of me. But it didn't work out that way. It wound up I charged into him, according to the ref. He didn't know what to do. He was blowing his whistle, and it wouldn't have looked too good, I guess, at that time. The refs weren't supervised by It was a little more of a homer type thing.
You
So-
remember who the refs were?
No, I tried to
do.
forget him.
I do.
tried to forget him.
So they put them up 3 points.
3 points, right, and then at the buzzer, Billy Heitman threw a long shot, and it went in. We wound up losing by 1, but we should have won the game. Should have.
And they were a lot bigger than we were.
Oh, yeah, a lot bigger. They were taller. They were rated number 1 in. They wound up number 1
They
in the
were
country.
number 1.
Yeah.
If what would have made a difference in that game, you think, where we could have won the game? The referees
Yes,
on that one.
just the
particular
one call would have done it. You know,
It was Lester Fuchs and Julie Meyer.
Lester
were-
Fuchs and
were the
Julie.
referees. I think Julie Meyer made the call. And then I think we played Fordham that year, and they were ranked 4th or 5th, and we
Yeah.
lost by 2 points.
Yeah, well, that we had a different kind of a problem. We at that time you didn't have a school bus, and you'd get to the games.
Yeah, a snowstorm.
Snowstorm, and I went up to the bridge, George Washington Bridge, to go over. By the time I got there, the bridge was closed. I had to come all the way back down, go through the Lincoln Tunnel. I got there in midway through the first quarter. Actually, I think only one of our starters were there in the beginning of the game, and we were behind by quite a few points. And eventually, we all got there, and we caught up, and we almost won that. Somebody missed the late.
Well, actually, wasn't Richie? Didn't we have a timeout, and Kennedy picked up a play, and
Yeah,
Richie Underdunk got the shot,
yeah,
and the ball went in,
Yeah, it would
and
come out, yeah.
around, and came out.
yeah.
C'est la vie.
With a little bit of luck, who knows? We would have been ranked.
Well, this is when people started noticing.
Oh yeah,
As a
I think that's what a
basketball
lot
team.
of it started. And
And you played out in Kansas City. How many
Yeah.
times did you go out?
twice we were out there, which was an interesting place to go. With
The NAIA tournament.
NAIA tournament, they'd have anywhere from 10 to 15,000 people all day long. You started in the mornings, played till late at night. It was a great tournament. Great tournament.
And you didn't play in any other tournaments.
No,
I
No,
think
we-
the first NIT came in 1957.
yeah, and right after they started getting, that's when they had Pepper Dooley and Hank Morano, and had a lot of great teams since then. Yeah.
Says, what were your first and continuing impressions of Jersey City when you attended school at St. Peter's? Well, you came down from West New York.
Yeah, West New York. That was a big day. When coming from West New York, you get down to Journal Square.
Now, did you consider Jersey City like another part of? I grew up in Union City,
Yeah,
and we weren't allowed past North Street.
yeah.
That's Jersey City. We didn't even read the Jersey Journal unless your school was playing someone in Jersey City.
Yeah, it was a
Different world.
Oh yeah, Union City and West New York and Weehawken and North Bergen were all pretty much in the same.
See, to me,
This
in
is-
those days, going from North Hudson to Jersey City was going away to college.
Yeah, it was in a sense, sure it was. I mean, like I said, just going to the Journal Square to the movies was like a big date. You take a girl out there, that was big time.
As Jersey City changed,
Yeah, it's changed over the years, some parts of it.
how about the college campus area?
College campus area got much nicer. It's much nicer. It's bigger. It's
Do you remember your first day on campus?
what I remember about it the most was the people were very friendly, and the Jesuits were very friendly. You walk around and people were saying hello to each other. I mean,
How far did you wander in the neighborhood?
in the neighborhood. Lincoln Park was probably as far as you went, if you went anywhere. Most times you just stayed right in the college itself. It was small.
You were in the ROTC?
Yeah, it was in the ROTC.
So you go down to Lincoln Park for a drill?
Yeah, get down there, and occasionally you might go to play softball or something on a nice day. A lot of times you just hang out in the old locker room and, and start bull throwing with a bunch of guys. Or Tom Sess's, you'd have something. And
About Tom Sessa.
Tom Sessa was a great guy. Used to go there and sit and eat. And
Tell people who Tom Sessa was.
Tom Sessa, he ran and owned the cafeteria, and his food was great. He gave more food away to kids for nothing. I remember one time he comes in a locker room. I'm sitting there, and we're just bull throwing. He says he's getting changed his clothes, and he says, "You want to hold this for me?" He gave me a wad of money. I don't know how much was in it, but I mean, I couldn't even fit it into my pocket. I'm holding the thing. It was
No,
a
we
fr-
can get suspended 30 years later or for whatever it is, 40 years later. What, Brent, you were on scholarship.
Yes.
What was your scholarship? What did it consist of?
My
I think it's different than scholarships today.
Oh, yeah. My scholarship, there was room, not room, it was the tuition and books. That's it.
And fees?
And fees, whatever fees they
So
were.
if you had to feed yourself.
Yes.
So Tom
Yes.
helped there.
Yeah, Tom helped there. He would help the, whatever you wanted to eat, he would give you. He did. And actually, I really never had a basketball scholarship. Whatever.
What was it?
It was Scholastic Scholarship I want. Well, by the time I decided to come to St. Peter's, it was already September, and they had no more basketball scholarships.
But you came here to play basketball.
Yeah, yeah.
So they worked out something
Yeah.
else. How about, like, right now, the college is very diverse. We have practically every ethnic group in the
Right.
world is here, which I think is a little bit different when you
Yes.
were here.
Yeah, there were some African Americans.
You could probably
Not many.
Count them on the
One
fingers of
hand.
one
two-
hand.
Right.
Teddy Edwards, Eddie
Uh,
Scott,
and
Gary
Ron-
Randolph,
Yeah, and Ronnie Burke.
Ronnie Burke. I got another finger to go. I can't think of any more. And growing up in West New York,
There weren't that many in West New York at the time. There were maybe one handful in West New York.
Mm.
You know.
so actually, St. Peter's, in spite of only having 4 or 5, it's our introduction to interracial relationships.
Oh yeah, and it was a good introduction, really.
And on the basketball team, there were probably 3 out of the 4 were there.
Yeah.
Ronnie Burke was quite a ball player.
Ronnie Burke was very good. Probably most people here, you don't hear too much about him, but he could play with anybody.
And Eddie Scott, that great game at Uppsala with all the fouls.
Yeah, Eddie Scott he made the basket that put us into overtime, which we later won. And he turned out to be a terrific coach in high school afterwards. In fact, when I was playing, he'd be on a bench, and he would, at timeouts, he would tell me, Brian, why don't you do this? Why don't you he knew what he was doing. You could tell that he was a coach, and he did very well afterwards.
Other than the fact they kept misspelling your name, did they have any nicknames or anything?
Rochford that I played with used to call me Perry Como.
Oh, John Rochford.
John Rochford. A lot of nice guys.
What were your impressions of Don Kennedy then? Not now, then.
And the first time I saw him, I was talking to Joe Palermo, I thought he was a tough, mean guy. He looked, but it was exactly the opposite. I mean, once you knew the guy, he's a great guy, very warm, caring.
So he was only tough and mean to people who didn't know him.
Yeah, that's it. He had that look. But a great guy.
As a coach?
Great guy to play for. And you know the game.
We're talking about diversity on campus. Now, right now, the college has more than 50% of the enrollment is female. What was the female then? How many women were on campus then?
0.
How about, I guess, in the library, Grace Shue?
Yeah, I mean, maybe in a lot, people at work
no.
possibly, but not that many even.
Did you wear a senior gown, the
Yeah.
academic gown? What did you think of that?
It was just a way of life. I mean,
Did you like it, or would you like to see it come back?
Yeah, it was sort of nice. I mean, you wore a jacket and tie and a gown, and freshman year you had a party the year, or at least you had to wear your beanie.
Yeah.
But it was all
So-
done.
Now, what year did you graduate? 1950?
55. I graduated in 1955.
And that's when you wore the academic gown.
Yes. I don't know how many years after that they continued to do it.
So I mean, so your typical dress then was shirt and a tie.
Oh yeah, every day. Every
Now,
day.
when the president walked into a room or an assembly, we stood up, I think.
Yes, we did.
Was it just the president or the dean or any?
I think the president only, but you respected them all.
Do you have any thoughts about that? Was it second nature, or did you just do it because you had to?
No, you would you did it all. Most of the things you were used to doing, and you didn't really give it much thought. You just did it. It was just a way of life.
Now, with all the time you spent on buses and at practice, how much time? How about study? Where did you do homework, and where did you find time? And
well, you made the time, really. You do some in between. Occasionally, you'd have an hour or so between classes. You would do a little bit of studying then. Down to the lounge mostly. And then at home, the rest of it, really. But you did have to study quite a bit.
What was your major, Bernie?
Management.
And you're a manager right now.
Yeah.
Now you're in the printing business.
Yes, I'm in the printing business.
Why? Now your father was a printer.
Right.
Is that why you got into the business?
Yes.
Or why did you stay in the business?
Well, after a while, I was not going to go into business to begin with. I mean, when I was working by my father in high school, and I'd be ready to go on a date, and he'd say, "Where you going?" Fortunately, Loretta, my wife, would stand there with me while I was working on a press, and by the time we got done, it was time to go home, really. There was no place else to go. And I said, "I'm never going to be a printer. I hate it." But I actually got into it because a friend of my father, Charles Hanson, he used to publish later on he published all the Beatles songs, and he had a big publishing business. And I knew him since I was a little kid. And because of my father, he actually got me started in it. He gave me free rent in the city and all the printing that I was able to do. He was very, very good to me, the guy. And I stayed in it because I started to make some money. It got to be a lot more interesting, the business. And then my children, Bernie Jr., when he was only about 12, he used to haunt me every day on Saturdays if I was going into work. "Why don't you take me with you?" And he came, and he was very, very bright, and he learned everything very quickly. So now he knows, I don't know, 10, 20 times more than I do.
No, I've watched your father, and I watched you, and I watched Bernie. Now, you're all different kind of printers.
Yeah.
Your father had ink on his fingers, and he
Yeah.
put the type together. You did a little bit of paste up. Now it's more, and Bernie sits in the office and answers the phone.
Right.
So the printing business has changed.
Oh, yes. It's got a lot more computers and...
So your management skills really help now.
Yes.
How about now back in school? Who you have special memories of any teachers?
Yeah, the Father McMullen.
Who's still here?
He's still here. He was by far the best teacher I ever had, high school, college, or anything. He used to, even when you didn't have him in class, I had problems in philosophy one year, and I happened to mention it, but also I didn't know half the other kids in my class were having the same problems. So Father McMullen said, "Well, I'll be happy to come in on a Saturday and Sunday, whenever you want, and see if I can help you out." He came in 2 Saturdays and Sundays. In fact, the whole class went there, and he made it so clear, what was a mystery to me when I started with him. And 2 weekends, I mean, it was amazing what he taught you. And every time I see him, I tell him that. I don't know if he thinks I'm kidding around, but I mean it. He was terrific. Then you had Father Barrows, was a very nice, for theology, real, very, very nice person. Father Henneberry was also a person that was he was the type of guy that most of the students thought he was a tough, mean guy. But he wasn't. He was just the same as Don Kennedy. And once you knew him, he used to hang out down at gym, and he kept an eye on my mark stuff for me. He made sure I did what I was supposed to do. There were a lot of nice people.
You mentioned all Jesuits.
Yeah.
Who was the president when you were here?
Shanahan. Father Shanahan was the president when I was here.
And the dean?
Dean was Father Clark, and 2 Clarks.
One with an
With
E
and one down. Yeah.
How about any lay teachers that were particularly... Who taught you management?
I had Reitemeyer.
Charles Reitemeyer.
Yeah. The best, by far, the best were the Jesuits.
Now, did you when you left it? Did you take a Jesuit philosophy with you? How's it affected your life since you left? Otherwise, if you had gone to Rutgers like your son started, instead of St. Peter's, how would your life, you think, would have been different after you left college?
Yes, I mean, you did what was right. I mean, you learned to do the right thing. You really did, and to this day, I mean, I look at it if God is watching me, which He is, He'd say he's a good person, and
like the philosophy of men and women for others, And I've known you for 40 years, and certainly your life, what you've done, you do for others,
Right.
and find God in all things.
You do, and that's my greatest pleasure. I mean, I get much more pleasure out of doing something for someone else than for myself.
And certainly family
Yeah, all my family
motivates everything you do.
Oh yes, yes. And you learn a lot. Jesuit education.
Now, you went to school, and Bernard went to school, and Ralphie went to school. Were you know what your classes were like, and you know what college life was like when you were there. Were you interested in what it was like for your son or your brother? Has it changed?
The school got bigger, as time went on. Classes, I guess by and large. I mean, I talked to Bernie and my brother, and they all have the same feelings toward the college that I do. So while I wasn't in their classes, I have to believe that it didn't change all that much.
So the outside's changed,
but the inside,
inside
core,
the classroom is
right. I think it's still the same. They all have the same love and feelings for the college. So it's unusual. My friends have gone to other colleges, and I've taken a few of them to different golf events and things like that. And they see the friendliness and the warmth of the alumni and the faculty, and they're amazed at it.
Why do you think, like, everyone loves St. Peter's? I think it's a special kind of love that the alumni and people like yourself have for the college. What's the reason for it?
I would guess it was the warmth and the care, and they cared about you when you came here. And that's what when someone cares about you.
Does it have anything to do with who we are when we get here, maybe? I mean, we're not the elite of society.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the neighborhood kids from Hudson County.
Could be. It could be. I mean, you certainly, like I told you, I had a great family life.
And they treated us like we were
Part
special people.
Right. And I consider them part of my family.
Were you in any other activities in school other than basketball and the cafeteria?
ROTC was the only other.
How long did that last?
The ROTC? Well, I was in it 4 years. 2 years, then I went to the advanced ROTC, and I went to the Army as a second lieutenant.
So you did Army after
Yes,
graduation?
2 years I was in the Army.
When did you marry Loretta?
I married Loretta right after I got out of school, July 9th, 1955.
And she's been more beautiful every day, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I started going out when she was 15 in high school.
Wow. How about friends from school? Your circle of friends, how many do you have from when you went to college here?
Well, a lot of them I still see at the alumni. Some of them I played ball with. Rich Onderdock, he works with me now. I've gotten together, from time to time with different guys from the team and friends from school. It's enough people that you still...
And with your family. It picks up.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a snowball. What kind of rules and regulations did you have to abide by at the college? Did you feel that they put any restraints on you, or did you appreciate the rules?
Well, the rules were just normal things that I probably would have done in my family upbringing, really. I mean, you just be a nice person and don't cause, don't get out of hand, and I had no problem with the rules.
Your memories of Father Shanahan as the president, was he inspirational in any way? Was he a role model in doing what you did?
He was a nice, very nice man. He also looked like he cared for all the students. I mean, if he saw you, if you had a problem, if you wanted to talk to him, you could.
Now you came as a student, and you've been doing work with the college. So you've known every president since 1950.
Oh yeah.
Father Clark, Father McLaughlin, Father Anatelli, Father Glenn, Father Degnan, Father Lochran. Yeah. How do you compare them? Are there any special ones there?
They're all a little different, but they're similar in the way they are. I guess maybe it's inbred in all the Jesuits. I don't know.
18 of the 21 presidents at the college have been Irish. No, you're Perry Como. Do you have any special love for Father Anatelli? Any special memories?
No. Surprisingly, no. It never really. Honestly, it never really entered my mind that they were just nice people. Actually, I probably knew Father Anatelli the least.
Really?
Yeah. He was friendly whenever he'd see him, but I mean, Glenn, Degnan, even Loughran. I've gotten to know them better because maybe I'm a little older or something. I don't know.
Are there any teachers that you had that you're still friendly with, like someone who was your teacher and is now a friend?
Well, my coach, Don Kennedy, certainly.
You're closer in age now.
Yeah, I'm catching up to him. Father McMullen, I've stayed fairly close to him. In fact, he's christened two of my grandchildren. And who else do I see here? I mean, I've seen some of the teachers that were here after me. I see them. Most of the ones that were teaching when I was here,
They're gone.
they're gone. They're long gone by now.
You have any good stories you remember from classroom? Any anecdotes? No.
No, nothing that.
No, you're not a teacher. You agreed with the philosophy of the teachers here. We've talked about administrators and teachers who have stood out, and we've talked to Father McMullen. How about the religious atmosphere on campus? Do you think we should have it here?
Well, it doesn't hurt. I mean, they didn't. I mean, you had theology. That was interesting, I thought, and it was good.
No, theology and philosophy. When you took it, did you just approach it as something in a textbook, or did you think? Did it change your life?
It made you think, the philosophy, and the theology. I didn't go to a Catholic high school or anything, so I think it reinforced probably what I felt before I came here. I mean, my parents, I think, gave me a good foundation, and they just carried it on more. But it was, I enjoyed the Jesuits very much. I mean, the parish priests, I knew some of those, but
Do you have any special feelings for the Jesuits now that maybe over any other types of priests or religious orders?
Well, I know them the best.
No, what I'm saying, when you got here, they were the Jesuits, and you knew them because they were the Jesuits.
Right.
But now, in the meantime, you got to know them, their philosophy and what they do. Does being Jesuit have any special meaning, more meaning now?
Yeah, they did teach you in a way without as you're talking to them. They made you realize what's important in life, and they made the one thing I tell you. The one thing I liked most about them when I came here, and I still like it, is some places. Some of my friends went to schools where they played basketball and they were passed. I knew from the day I came here that they would help me as much as they can. They'd give me any special tutoring I wanted. They'd stay at night. They'd stay on weekends for me. But I had to study, and I had to pass if I intended to stay here. And that's why I care for them so much, because I might have been some guy that went and played basketball and went out, and who knows what I'd be doing. They made sure that didn't happen.
When you had school spirit as a student, what are your recollections of?
Tremendous school spirit, and we had some games at the Armory. It was packed, and lots of screaming, and the people would all go to the games, and it was a big event. It was, and when I played, I couldn't understand how people got so excited.
Now you come to games now.
Yeah.
And it's a big difference.
Yeah, right now there's hardly any of the spirit we had. maybe the style of play, maybe the way things have changed. I don't know, but it's not the same. The first time, even many years after I got out, I remember in 1968 and 1969, with Tom McMahon and Pete O'Day and Kenny Grant.
Harry and El Nardo.
Yeah, they played. I was at the Armory one of the games, and that was the first time I actually yelled and got excited at the game. I was playing it. We were down by, I don't know, 5, 7 points with about a minute to go. We wound up winning the game.
It was LIU.
LIU? Yeah, it was LIU game, and I hear him starting yelling. I said, "Oh my God!" I said, from then, there were a lot of good teams we had, but it's not the same excitement now. No.
And the games in the Garden and the NIT.
NIT, oh yeah.
So you had a period in your life where you got vocal.
Oh yeah. But I'm not. I can sit there pretty quiet now.
How do you feel now with the women's teams coming on? You enjoying that?
Yeah, I got to enjoy them very much when they played in the same tournament with the men. And that was the first time I really watched them. In fact, now my wife and myself, we both enjoy women's basketball every bit as much as the men, and maybe better. And Mike Rinelli is doing a great job with them. They've come a long way. I remember when I used to play 3 men on each side of the court, 3 women on each side of the court.
With a side center.
Yeah, that was a good old.
You're dating yourself.
I know, and getting up there.
But you still come to the games.
Oh yes, I still.
Now
come.
you were elected to the College Hall of Fame.
Yes. I was elected to College Hall of
You're
Fame.
the first name on the plaque.
That's right.
And if it wasn't for you, I'd be the first name on the plaque. And that's alphabetical.
That's right. They can't change them anymore, right?
You've getting up to like awards and things you've gotten here, and that's one of them. How do you feel about being in the Hall of Fame at St. Peter's College?
Well, I'm happy. I'm very happy to be in it. I mean, now it just seems that they're putting an awful lot of them in there now. They're going to run out of room on those plaques.
Well, they'll never take your name down.
Yeah.
You remember commencement?
Yeah, it was a lot smaller than it is today.
You remember who spoke?
No,
Okay.
I don't remember.
Famous people at the college. Have you met people at the college that you feel are famous? The answer can be no. Because Mr. Knapp has promised to be very discreet in cutting this stuff. What's the best advice you've ever received or given about your days here at St. Peter's College?
Well, the best advice I received was that when I came, they told me that study, it's nice to play sports, but a sound mind and a sound body is the best thing. And if you're going to work and make a living, you got to prepare yourself, and we'll help you.
I remember when they said we don't care who you are or where you came from or what you did when you were there. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Did that have any?
Oh yeah. I mean, between that and between what they told me and basketball, I mean, you can go practice and goof off, and you're not going to amount to very much. Except with basketball, you see the results a little quicker.
About giving advice, you told you get out of Rutgers and get into St. Peter's.
Well, yeah, you get if you want to get a good education and you're willing to put the effort into it, you'll definitely get it at St. Peter's.
You support a lot of alumni events.
Yeah.
You enjoy them?
Oh yes, I enjoy it. Enjoy it very much.
In your estimation, tell me the value of the St. Peter's experience as it pertains to your life.
Well, I learned, you have to put the effort if you want to accomplish something, and it is much nicer, better to give than to receive. I mean, it gives a great deal of pleasure, and
you've been doing that a lot with the college.
Yes,
you've been giving back a lot.
Oh yeah, well, if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would be in a position maybe to give back to anybody.
If you never played basketball, which direction you think your life would have taken? College-wise, Catholic college in Hudson County, you think you might have come here anyway?
I don't know. I probably, I think basketball was probably the reason at the time. I went to college.
To any college?
To any college. No one in my family had ever gone. My father's family has 10 brothers and sisters. No one had ever gone to college. I took college courses in high school with the idea maybe I'd go to college. But that solidified I was going to go to college by playing ball. But my life would have been totally different had I not come to St. Peter's. If I didn't play basketball, I probably wouldn't have come to St. Peter's or gone to college at all, possibly. It certainly helped. It changed my life tremendously.
So you're grateful to basketball and St. Peter's?
Yeah, and the combination of the two were perfect. But they meshed the two together. I mean, basketball was never more important than academics. And
it was a vehicle you used to get here.
Yeah, but that's what I liked about it the most, because I knew academics were more important.
And another big colleges like LIU and UCLA, people are motivated differently maybe?
Yeah.
I don't want to put a knock on other colleges.
No, a lot of my friends went to other colleges, and they didn't have to work as hard as I did. Not that they were brighter or dumber, but they just didn't have to work as hard. And many of them didn't do too well when I got out. You know, I mean, your basketball career is very short.
If you were running St. Peter's College today, what would you do to change the basketball program? Do you think it needs to be changed?
Could be, you know, a little more exciting. Maybe it's more money, whatever the case might be, that they need into it. But
so I'm thinking of traditions. What do you look at a college as being traditional, and naturally basketball is part of your tradition.
Right.
Do you think that tradition is still going strong?
No, most people aren't interested in basketball today.
Could they be?
Yeah,
Or you think it's just the times we live in?
Part of it is the time. Now you got TV. People don't go out. But if you have a good game, a good team, they'll come out. There's nothing like being at a game in person. But the way you do that, you got to have a team that plays exciting basketball.
Now, when you played, you talk about 5,000 people at a game. We didn't have 5,000 students here. Where'd they come from?
They'd come from all over Hudson County.
Now we have students living on campus.
They don't even bother coming, I know. I've been to games where there might be 100 or 200 people there. And it's very quiet in the gym. You can hear the ball bounce.
If you lived on campus and there was a game going on, you would want to go?
No, not necessarily.
I mean, ordinarily.
Oh, ordinarily when I was there, some of the exciting teams I had, yeah, sure I'd go. I'd
Let's stop picking on basketball.
Yeah.
Billy, there's no more questions here. So let me ask you something else. No, they're not hard questions. What would you do to change St. Peter's College?
Right now, they're doing a good job by expanding, putting the dorms, but you got to get the spirit back, a little more of the spirit. I don't know how the students feel today. If they have this, will they have the same love for the college 10, 20 years from now?
Yeah, how do you see St. Peter's 20 years from now? And you'll be here.
I hope so. I would think as long as they keep what the Jesuits had and they keep their presence here, I think you're going to still find a lot of good people come out of here. They're going to be leaders. I mean, I'm amazed that as small as we were over the years, how well the alumni has done. I mean, they've done terrific. I mean, I see them and I know them, and I'm proud. You know.
You see the plans to build in the future. Are you excited about that?
Oh yeah, it's gonna just get better and better. You know, it's moving along. They're really doing well. They're doing very well, and you're still getting a lot of first-generation college students coming here. Maybe you have to be a little hungry. I don't know.
Well, that's what we're all about, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is, and maybe that's what will always continue.
Well, Ms. Cicirelli, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your coming here 40 some odd years ago.
Yeah, 40,
And,
46 years ago.
You made a lot of us proud
Yeah.
when you played. You made a lot of us proud with what you've done since you got out of here. And we're happy to have you as an alumni. We're happy to have you as a friend. And I'm